Welcome to the latest Capital and Kayfabe. I am your co-host, JP Ajampaz from the Two-Man Power Trip. Of course, joining me is the political pundit himself, the author, the writer, the journalist, former campaign manager, Mr. Jack Hunter. Jack, welcome in. How you doing?
Good to be with you, John. Looking forward to our conversation today.
I feel like last week, obviously, we focused on the real American himself, Hulk Hogan, and the passing of the Hulkster. Have you liked the tributes? Have you liked what WWE has done so far? I know it's a little bit different where you can't really, like they used to do, dedicate whole shows to guys that pass and stuff like that. Now it's more like on Peacock and YouTube and stuff, but they still have tributes on the show. Have you liked the tributes?
I do. I think they've done the appropriate amount, and I think they've done it appropriately. Look, WWE has 3 TV shows: SmackDown, Raw, and NXT, and on each of those, he got a 10-bell salute with all the wrestlers and staff and others out there. I think it's been nice. They showed the same. I think it's the same montage video of, the history of Hulk Hogan from Hulkamania before that, NWO, through the 2000s with The Rock and everything else. I think they've done a really good job with it. So, yeah.
It's very interesting when people will complain, oh, they didn't do enough or whatever. It's all over the place. If you really follow WWE social, I find some people are never happy, oddly enough. Believe it or not, in this world, some people are just never happy.
They aren't, and they still have a TV show to do. And yes, Hulk Hogan's the biggest thing in modern professional wrestling ever, but it's their thing. It's the WWF, it's the WWE, but people complain about that. I like to look at the bright side of things. So when Jay Briscoe tragically died a couple years ago in that car accident, WWE acknowledged it on air. Triple H was in charge, but I was like, how cool. This guy never wrestled in a WWE ring, but he meant a lot to professional wrestling, and they do that now. So how about we talk about that than any minor gripe some nitwit has about the Hogan tribute stuff? I mean, come on.
Hey, even AEW, Tony Schiavone stepped up and did a tribute, even though I know for whatever strange, weird, odd reason Tony Khan had a grudge with Hogan. Well, I mean, whatever. But I like that Schiavone stepped up to the plate and did a little tribute.
And he was the right guy to do it. I mean, Tony Schiavone was the voice of my childhood, Jim Crockett era NWA. And when the NWO happened, he was the lead announcer on WCW. So when all that happened, he was right there. He was the right guy to do it. He probably knew Hogan more than probably most on the show, and I'm not leaving out veterans like Billy Gunn or any of those people. Yeah, he was definitely the right guy to do it. And I like what he said too about show some grace and a little bit. Mick Foley said this. A bunch of people have. Like, the guy died. He was imperfect. We can talk about those things, but I think Mick Foley said, "Can we at least wait 72 hours after the death of someone, for the sake of their families, at least, to start griping about this or making complaints or being ugly?" He's right.
Yeah, very, very strange people. I feel like there's something like we've talked about this before. Maybe there's something mentally going on with some of these people. They don't quite fit in with society, or they don't adhere to not rules, but just adhere to just normal, like you said, like grace and being respectful and stuff.
It's easy. Being on social media is like road rage. You're in your car. Nothing's really going to happen bad because you're protected in your car. People say things on keyboards all the time that they would never say in real life. When I'm on the edge of doing that, we're all, guilty of that sometimes. I always think, would I say this to this person's face? And if I wouldn't, then I don't type it. I think maybe it would be better if more people did that.
So I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was talking about another friend of ours who wrote something. It was a good stuff, but he put it in there like, "Oh, Hogan was not a great person." But like, he almost felt like he had. So I wrote to my buddy. I'm like, "Did he really need to put that in there?" And he said because the outlet that he was writing for kind of demanded that he also add that in. I was like, it's kind of lame though. You have to put that in. Oh, he was not. I'm not saying he's a great person. Come on. I thought that was a little ridiculous.
I've experienced that. I write for conservative and libertarian publications, but some of the places I've contributed might lean left editorially or present themselves as bipartisan or transpartisan even, which means across the ideological spectrum. And something that I might not have to include at the conservative publication about a certain figure, I might have to include a sentence or two at the left-leaning or bipartisan one. It's exactly what you just said, John. It's something the people that work there need to hear to make themselves feel better. It might not have anything to do with what I'm talking about or its presentation, but it's something the people behind the scenes, it massages their feelings and partisan inclinations. It's silly, but it happens.
I've yet to meet the perfect person. I was talking to a buddy of mine too. I said, yet to meet the perfect person. So when that happens, somebody needs to let me know and definitely bring that to my attention.
I think he left it about 2000 minus 36 years ago. So if next time you see him, you let me know too.
Now, speaking of that, this might be crazy, but is there a perfect person? Perhaps, because I'm going to show you a picture of her right now, and you know exactly who I'm talking about. And the controversy, what is going on with Sydney Sweeney, if we're talking about maybe a perfect person?
I thought you were going to show me Kurt.
Oh, yes, Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig. No. What is going on with this Sydney Sweeney controversy?
This is hilarious. I'm actually really enjoying this. So for those who haven't followed, Sydney Sweeney, who's a beautiful young actress, she was in The Handmaid's Tale and some other things. Great Rolling Stones video, Don't Be Angry with Me, where she's, basically dancing in the back of a sports car, Hollywood Boulevard or whatever. Anyways, a lot of people know who Sydney Sweeney is, but she's been part of this American Eagle jeans campaign. And part of it, they use the word jeans, Genes, like Sydney Sweeney has good genes, which she does. If you're looking at the screen right now, I don't care whether you're male, female, gay, or straight. That's a person with good genes, what I'm looking at right now. And they replace it with jeans like the clothing, Jeans. I can't talk. Staring at Sydney Sweeney, I guess. It's a marketing campaign. Kudos to whoever in the American Eagle office came up with it. That's all it is. But these woke people, and this is part of what I'm amused about. It's like the dying throes of woke. It's so stupid that every time it keeps representing itself, you're just reminded of how stupid it is. These woke left people are saying that it's Nazi propaganda or white supremacy that they use the word genes as in genetics and then the word jeans as in clothing. I don't know. Sydney Sweeney's initials are SS. Does that mean she's the secret police for Hitler too? I mean, like, how stupid do we want to get with this? That was on Good Morning America, what I just said, like a professor that nobody's ever heard of from somewhere saying, well, this goes back to a long movement of the eugenics movement in America and, white supremacy. And this is what the Sydney Sweeney, no normal person looking at that thought that. That's something that people obsessed with identity politics and race and thinking everybody's a white supremacist would think about that because there's something wrong with their brains. So I've kind of enjoyed this. American Eagle stock is up. It went up after the controversy, which is awesome. And Sydney Sweeney, when she did the Rolling Stones video, I guess it's been about a year or two now. If y'all know that song, Don't Get Angry With Me. It's off the Stones' latest album. They're all 100 years old, and the song's awesome, right? So instead of having a bunch of creepy old men around, a 20-year-old in a bikini, which you don't want to happen, that's not good. They're on the Rolling Stones, the old men who are rocking out, great song, or on billboards far away from the Hollywood Strip, where she's in the car dancing, right? It's like perfect. You've got the pretty girl in the Rolling Stones video, but the old men aren't creeping around her. It's a great video. She got criticized for that. Like feminists were saying, oh, you're objectifying women and all that. Her response was, I thought I looked hot. So Sydney Sweeney for president 2028, that's exactly the kind of attitudes we need right now. She didn't even get mad. She wasn't like, how dare you tell me how to act in this video? She was just like, y'all are stupid. I looked hot. F off. And I'm like, that's the response. That's exactly what needs to happen. Don't take these people seriously. Don't give them power. She's
been a great draw. I feel like maybe there's some jealousy there or whatever it is, trying to knock her off the perch, but she's been a great draw for everything. Remember that bath water or whatever that she sold when she was doing the Dr. Squatch? That sold out, and that company went from nothing through the roof just by using her as a spokeswoman.
It's just, come on. Men, red-blooded American males like looking at pretty women in movies and in jeans ads, and come on, grass is green, oxygen we need to live and breathe. What are we talking about here? It's absurd. But yeah, everything she touches seems to turn to gold.
Yeah, she's doing great right now. Even some of her movies that are, like
Yeah.
those dumb rom-coms that were horrible, they actually made money like for like the first time in a while. It's like, wow, maybe if you use the right person, it does both.
Yeah, and I said this to somebody on social media. She's just trying to do her job as whether a model or an actress. Like she's lucky to be famous and to have made it. There's so many people in that field that you never hear of, and she's become sort of this anti-woke champion. But by not trying to be that, just how stupid some of the people are who criticize her and not giving in to them. That's happened. It's become political, and I don't say that gladly because I don't think she's trying to do that. Maybe she thinks that. I don't know what her politics are. I don't care. Well, I mean, I care about other people's opinions, but that's not what she does. She's an actress. That's what I care about. Watching her, seeing her work. But she has become the sort of anti-woke champion by doing nothing and just not reacting to the idiots around her and watching everybody else react, I suppose.
Isn't that funny though? Like by not being political, she's making the woke people like seem like nuts,
Yeah. So on the front end of the woke thing, and I think I always pinpointed this stupid crap going away was the Chappelle Netflix special, The Closer. What was that?
Yeah.
5, 6, 7 years ago when they tried to cancel him. Remember they had the walkout at Netflix and Netflix CEO was like, nope, not getting canceled. That's the first time these people realized they didn't have the power that they thought they had just to boss everybody around and tell everybody about how to think. Before that, I think sort of the beginning of the rise of woke, to answer to your question, John, do you remember when Jimmy Fallon interviewed Donald Trump during the 2016 campaign?
No, actually, I don't remember that. No.
Well, there was a big controversy around it. Jimmy Fallon was the one guy on late night. You had Colbert, you had Jimmy Kimmel, but he was the one guy on late night that didn't politicize everything. He still tried to do it Johnny Carson style. If he told a Republican joke, he would tell a Democrat joke. He wasn't trying to alienate half of his audience as a business model, which is what Colbert and Kimmel do every night. Oh, look, we're good. Progressive liberals and the rest of the country, stupid and racist, and we hate them. That's not what Johnny Carson did. That's not what Conan did. That's not what Jay Leno did. But Jimmy Kimmel was trying to still do that in a modern environment. He invited Donald Trump on, and he asked him softball personality questions like Johnny Carson would have done. Why? Because he's a late night host, comedy guy, entertainer. That's what you do. He was absolutely savaged by the left for not asking hard-hitting real news questions to Trump and criticizing him and making him look good as Johnny Carson would have done to Nixon or Reagan or anybody. And Fallon sort of fell in line after that. He couldn't take the pressure of the left and, his class of people jumping on him. So that was sort of like the beginning of woke. And they're like, ooh, look at the power we have. We can make Jimmy Fallon be a left-wing douchebag like the rest of the late night hosts that only Democrats watch, and Colbert's, going to be out of a job next May because of it, because not enough people are watching it. It's losing money. That was the beginning of it. I think more of the end of it was Chappelle a couple years ago not being canceled, and now this stupid controversy with Sydney Sweeney that far more people are just laughing at it than taking it seriously.
I thought it was funny too. Like with Colbert, people were talking about like, oh, they gave in to the pressure and they're going to fire him. Then I was looking at the money issue. He was losing like $40 million a year for them or something. It's something like astounding. I was like, how the hell did he not get fired sooner? Like that's insane.
Yeah, it cost $100 million annually to produce, and he was losing $40 million on top of that. I think they wanted to do this for a long time. Look, CNN's numbers down. Establishment legacy media is just down. Independent media is rising. And those old they're getting rid of the Late Show, the show that was David Letterman's show. They're just getting rid of it because it's a format that this new crop, Colbert and Kimmel at the top of that list, have destroyed. They got rid of the Carson model and replaced it. They're basically left-wing Rush Limbaugh's. Jay Leno said this week, I think Hollywood Reporter had the story. He goes, I don't understand just lecturing to half the audience all the time. He goes, that's not what I did. That's not what Carson did. Right. And he's right. He was absolutely right. Leno was one of the last normal late night talk hosts. I think Conan was probably the absolutely last one, unless you want to count Jimmy Fallon until 2016.
So I do think, though, I got to talk Trump here. I do think he's a little sensitive sometimes. Obviously, when he sued Paramount for the Kamala, yes, right? Yeah, sometimes a little sensitive. For the Kamala stuff, he ended up being right. He ends up winning the money from Paramount. Now, I guess maybe going after Paramount again, but calling them irrelevant because of South Park. What's the latest? What's going on here with South Park? I watched the episode, by the way. I thought it was hilarious. I don't know what I know. I mean, come on, they make fun of everybody.
Yeah, that's the whole thing Russell Brand tweeted just today while we're recording this. Yeah, they made fun of Trump and had him in bed with Satan, and he had a small penis and all this kind of stuff. But they also made fun of cancel culture and 60 Minutes and all sorts of other things, which is why I come
NPR.
to.
Yep.
Yeah, and I watched that episode 2 or 3 days after it came out. I saw all my lefty friends just absolutely over the moon. I'm like, all right, this is obviously going to be Trump, because their entire religion is, what side of Trump are you on? It's not policy. It's just, the TDS, Trump obsessed mindset they have. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to watch this. I'm not Trump obsessed, so I thought it was funny. But it also, one of my favorite lines, Cartman is super woke, and he thinks woke is dead in the episode. And at one point, he's wearing a woke is dead T-shirt. He goes, what's happened to this world? Now people can just tell the truth and nothing happens to them. He's lamenting that, like, that's bad. I laughed out loud. I'm like, that's funny as hell. And and they make fun of Trump. They make fun of that. So there's a little bit for everyone in there. If you're not obsessed with Trump, either absolutely in love with him or absolutely loathing of him. I do think it's funny to the degree that they criticize Trump. They're setting it up perfectly with how many progressives went crazy over that episode because it was so anti-Trump, to give the same treatment to Biden and Kamala Harris. I mean, Biden used the government to weaponize the legal system against his political opponent. They installed Kamala Harris without any kind of primary or any kind of democratic process. I mean, there's a lot to work with there you can make fun of. And if you were to do that on the next episode, this is what I was thinking watching it. All those left-leaning people that love the first episode would be like, well, you sold out. Change. And it's like, no, it's comedy. You do it to everybody, which we'll see what South Park does. It's always funny. Those guys are talented.
If you watch the show, I mean, obviously I've watched it since 1997. I'm a 30-year fan of South Park here. I love it. When you really watch it, they make fun of everybody, but it's very nuanced. Like Randy is a certain right-leaning, and he's funny this way. Cartman's right-leaning this way. Kyle obviously is lefty. Stan is in the middle. Like, each character is completely different. And yes, Trey Parker, Matt Stone do make fun of Trump and do all this other stuff, but they also make fun of so many other. They make fun of cancel culture. They make fun of, not having free speech. I mean, they make fun of everything, but it's so nuanced that each character will make fun of one thing or the other. Like you said, Cartman always makes fun of the woke, and they're embarrassing and everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, they're reverent. That's the point. There was a great book. It might have been the late 90s, early 2000s when the South Park come out. They're in their 27th season, so that was the late 90s, called South Park Conservatives. And the author's point, not that Matt Stone and Trey Parker were conservatives per se, but they just hated lefties. Whatever that is. That's what you see that about Team America and some of the other things.
Yep.
One of my favorite times of South Park, do you remember when the movie Inception came out?
Yes.
So the entire world loved that movie. I thought it was the most pretentious piece of crap I'd ever seen. I hated it. I would have walked out of the theater if I was not on a date or whoever I was with. And I just kept my mouth shut and let everybody enjoy their Inception and whatever. And then the episode aired of their perception, South Park's perception of Inception. It was exactly what I thought sitting in the theater. And so if anybody wants to seek that out, I laugh at it every time I see, because I thought I was the only one.
I love that, with the one guy that's going like the music from the oh god, it's so great.
But I'm 3 levels deep in my brain, so you don't know. It's like I really don't like garbage matches and wrestling that much anymore. Like, oh, we can do it. When I hear street fight, I'm like, well, can we just have like a regular rules match? Like, I would enjoy that more than bringing out thumbtacks for the 1,000th time. The lack of parameters makes it meaningless to me. That's how I felt about Inception. I'm like, well, hell, if you can do anything in somebody's brain, well, I'm even watching this movie. Like, I can grow damn daisies and tulips out of my ears right now. Like, what are we talking about? It's just, it's pretentious and stupid.
I actually do like that movie, but it gets a little crazy. And I like the movie Tenet too. I love all Christopher Nolan movies. I think they're great. But if you look at it though, it's almost like he's trying to outsmart like the smartest viewer and like throw him for a curveball. It's almost akin to like Vince Russo when he was writing. Sometimes he would do the swerve, bro, and then he would do another swerve where that person turns again, and it doesn't even make sense, but they're just trying to swerve the audience. I felt like that's what the movie was trying to do. Like, they're trying to swerve you.
And that could be doing too much. And
yes, too much. Yep.
Russo often didn't have anything after that. It was just about the moment. Yep. And that was the problem. You got to think about what comes next. So I don't know what Christopher Nolan's up to. I like most of his work. I just don't like Inception.
The funny thing is with that, I feel like Tenet, which is another movie of it, I feel like it was Inception on drugs or something. Because then they do stuff backwards, and then it goes in slow motion. I'm like, oh my god, it's like Inception. But like, if you didn't think there was enough swerves in Inception, Tenet has even more swerves for you. Because I was even more confused. Like the ending of Inception, I'm like, wait, is that a dream or is that really happening with this kid? So like, I'm confused. But Tenet, I'm like, I'm even more confused now than I was at the end of Inception.
Watching Inception, I realized how grown-ups felt at the end of the Dallas series when it was all just a dream in J.R. Ewing's mind or whatever about.
Oh God, yes,
I was a
yes.
kid watching the Dukes of Hazzard before Dallas came on, so I didn't really care. But you grew up, and you're like, yeah, I invested all that time for that. So that's what Inception was like. It's like, what are we doing here?
I love when South Park does that though. Like obviously Saddam Hussein is the character that Trump is right now with Satan. If you ever saw the old school South Park, like that's what they're doing. They'll even have episodes where they're making for the Simpsons, but I'm complimenting them in the same episode, but ripping them apart, but then complimenting them. Family Guy they tore apart, which is so funny that they kind of like revealed how you write the show and it was manatees with idea balls and it's not,
Right.
you know what I mean? They just always do stuff like that just to really kind of make you think. But then when you're actually like watching it and you're actually doing it without thinking like this is stupid, it's like, well, it's like it actually really makes sense. You know what I mean? Like the characters make sense, what they're saying makes sense. It's a little bit deeper than just like a stupid comedy where they're puking and farting and stuff like that.
Yeah, if you think about it a little bit, there is a lot there. Some of my comedian friends would always criticize Family Guy as just being a series of jokes that don't mean anything together.
Yes.
And I can see that. I like the show, but I can see where they're coming from, especially as
Yep.
pros in the comedy world. South Park's not that. It's what you just said. Like it's funny. It's irreverent. They poke at, sacred cows, but it all ties together and it means something too, which is what any smart show should do.
And they'll do an homage to They Live or whatever, like stuff that you wouldn't even think about them doing. Like they'll do that, which is so great. And I love that they're kind of doing an homage to old school South Park, where Satan and Saddam Hussein are trying to take over, and now it's Trump. Like I love that. Just like a little bit of nostalgia thrown in there.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. We love nostalgia in our wrestling and our South Park.
Yes. Team America, by the way, I love that movie. And that song, America F, yeah, might be one of the great, if you actually listen like to the lyrics, it might be one of the best songs. Taco Bell, F, yeah, Disney
Slavery.
World, F, yeah. Slavery. Book. And then there's nothing for books. It's like,
books.
So great.
That's a great movie. And the time it came out, that was post, the U.S. invasion of Iraq in 2003. When did Team America come out? Like 2005, 6? I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
Yeah, mid-2000s, yep.
But yeah, it was really making fun of what I would call in retrospect, and I hope a lot of Americans would, faux patriotism. We were all upset about 9/11 and wanted to get back at the people who did that, but we went after the people who had nothing to do with it. By being fooled by other people who always wanted to go after Iraq and leading us to believe that it was associated with 9/11. But Team America, F yeah, I like the country song in it. Freedom costs $1.09.
Oh yeah, that's great too. Yeah,
the guy in front of the Vietnam Memorial and shedding a tear because it's all marionettes. Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of that movie.
They even on South Park itself have a great Ladder to Heaven 9/11, talking about 9/11, about how people were profiting off of 9/11 and kind of making fun of like the singers and stuff. There, people like, how could you profit off this stuff? But it's really tongue in cheek. They were making fun of those people for profiting off of 9/11. So
yeah, and I had like when Toby Keith came out with the "Put a Boot in Your Ass, It's the American Way," and I've got a sense of humor at the time. It as an anti-war conservative, soon to be libertarian, it bothered me how much the government and the media were manipulating people's emotions just to get like support for this BS war in Iraq. And I knew better, and I'm not trying to say I'm smart or whatever. It's just where my head was in my politics. And, I was a Pat Buchanan guy. I'd been paying attention to this stuff in a way that was different than just, I experienced 9/11. Let's see what happens. That Toby Keith song came out. It kind of irritated me. I'm like, I like Toby Keith. I like country music, but come on. When I hear it now, I laugh. I'm like, this is great.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Because it's outside of that context.
Yep.
It's fun.
Courtesy of the red, white, and blue. Yeah.
And like Merle Haggard's fight inside of me was during the Vietnam era, and he was trying to criticize the hippies. Later on, Merle Haggard was an opponent of the Iraq War and all that, but like the context of those kind of songs matters.
Yes, definitely. So what is, completely switching gears, staying on the Trump category, what's the latest on the Epstein files, the quote-unquote Epstein files? What is going on?
Well, as we're talking today, Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney said that she's willing to testify for clemency. I don't know if anybody makes movement on that. Trump made a little bit movement saying that we should be transparent about what we've got to Pam Bondi. That's after saying there's nothing there and he definitely didn't commit suicide and whatever. To answer your question, it's a bit of a mess. We'll see if anything happens. Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna are picking up support from some Republicans and all Democrats. You know, J.D. Vance recently said, the vice president, it's funny how the Democrats and their media all of a sudden want to know about Epstein. Because, you know, you had the George W. Bush administration, the Obama administration, the Biden administration, and we knew about Epstein during this whole time, and nobody budged. And now it's all about the Democrats, particularly, have latched on. We got to get, you know, Epstein, Trump. They care about getting at Trump first, the Epstein thing second. That's kind of messed up because harming underage girls should be the first priority instead of partisan politics. But that's what that is. But whatever. Ro Khanna is a Democrat who's joined Thomas Massie, who's a Republican, and they're trying to push for a vote, trying to pressure House Speaker Mike Johnson into allowing a vote that would push the Department of Justice to release what they have for the public to see. That's what needs to happen. Whether it will happen or not, who knows? But the political pressure is good. They should keep it up.
I love Trump because he'll just say whatever's on his mind. So they say something about it. And he goes, "Oh yeah, Bill Clinton went to Epstein Island 28 times." Like, what the? Like, where the hell did that come from? Like, he'll just throw that out there. You're like, "Whoa, what the hell?"
Yeah, not to change the subject, with the horrible stuff that's going on with Gaza and Israel right now. You've had all these, what I would call, I guess, Israel first, neoconservative, sort of Bush Cheney style pundits, Mark Levin being one of them. Lindsey Graham's a senator who's one of them, saying there's no starvation going on in Gaza. And if there is, Hamas is doing it. Well, as I speak to you today, John, President Donald Trump just said, oh, yeah, there's starvation going on in Gaza. Israel's doing it. You'd have to be cold hearted or nut, not. And those people, the pundits I just mentioned and senator, just kind of shut up. They don't say anything. Point is, Trump just says whatever he wants to say, and I don't know how much he thinks about it. It doesn't seem like much, but if he says something like that, it holds a lot of sway, especially with his supporters.
I'm actually surprised with the tariffs. I got to be honest. I'm like Bill Maher here. I thought that was a bad idea, and it seems like, you know, like not hard to happen, but I'm definitely wrong, and obviously Bill Maher is definitely wrong there. Man, what the heck? It seemed like I don't know. Maybe I got thrown a curveball there. It actually was working.
Yeah. Well, my libertarian friends that I've talked to about this, we've all kind of agreed if tariffs are there for leverage and to threat to get what you want, cool. If they're implemented long term, that is a tax on the consumer that will be passed on by whoever's being, you know, tariffs are being placed on them. That's just how economics works. But so far, prices have not gone up drastically, at least not because of tariffs. And Trump has gotten some concessions from these different countries that he wants. So, you know, I was a Pat Buchanan guy before I was a Ron Paul libertarian, and he always advocated for tariffs when he ran for president in 92 and 96 and 2000 with Ross Perot's Reform Party. I didn't think too much about it because he never became president, but Trump is actually doing what he campaigned on back then to great effect. So you can't argue with it if he gets the results.
Also, speaking about him just doing whatever he wants, he actually posted a funny like meme or a funny picture of Obama as OJ driving and him and JD Vance as the police chasing him. I was like, that, first of all, whoever created that picture, that is so funny. It's great. But for him to post it makes it even 10 times funnier. What in the world? What is going on? Obviously, I think he has immunity from Russiagate here, but what's going on with the Obama and Trump here?
Well, I mean, you know, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard says that she has evidence that Barack Obama directly and members of his team conspired to create the Russia collusion hoax based on the Steele dossier that the Hillary Clinton campaign created, paid for, whatever you want to say, that Robert Mueller found was completely fabricated. None of that was true. What Tulsi Gabbard is saying, well, Obama directly and some of his team were involved in this in ways that they were pretending they're not. And I think that's what Trump is making fun of. Like, we've got you by the balls. We've got the goods on you. I'd like to see more. But if it's true, that's a way bigger story than Watergate or any of the other political corruption scandals we've seen for most of our lifetimes. A lot of people watching this were born way after Watergate, but I'm just saying the things we think of as big scandals in the federal government, this would outweigh them all. This would be a sitting president, an outgoing sitting president, that being Barack Obama, allegedly, seeking to undermine the democratic results of a recent election by sabotaging the incoming president. That would be kind of a big deal if true, and Tulsi Gabbard claims it is.
Wow, it's crazy, but it's also crazy that Trump is making fun of it. You know what I mean? By posting pictures of it.
Right. That's what he does. He's Trump being Trump.
God, yeah, you gotta love it. One aspect, another aspect, you just gotta shake your head, like, what is going on over here? What really make it?
It's like if our old uncle posted that on Facebook, we'd laugh. Well, this is the old
Right.
uncle who happens to be the president of the United States. You got to take it for what it is.
Yeah, he's a little bit different than what we're used to as far as politically. Yes, yes, crazy. Some of the stuff I want to just get into here, and not really kind of go into crazy detail of it. CNN obviously completely embarrassed themselves yet again, but the mass shooting that happened in New York City, like, what is going on here? Some people were like, oh, it's a false flag, and what's going on? But I mean, obviously, he killed 5 people. He killed a cop. I mean, what the hell is going on with this mass shooting? Do we know anything? Do we have any details on
I
this?
don't know, and I'll be honest with you. I was talking with my girlfriend about this last night. I was so knee deep in different work last night that I saw that it happened eventually, but I don't know all the details. So I'm just being honest, straight up about that.
I think his name was Sean Tamara or something like that. You could tell he's not white, and CNN goes, he's white. Or maybe he's morally white or something like that. I was like, oh my God, CNN, Jesus. Like, how many mistakes do you make?
That was the controversy. And some people might recall a number of years ago, we were talking about that woke arc again, the beginning and the end. And we were talking about Sidney Sweeney just being another indicator that we're past this crap. When we were right in the middle of it, a lot of blue cities would criticize police departments, or people would criticize the police departments for naming the race of a suspect. You know, they say, you know, black male, 6 foot tall, weighs blah, blah, blah. They, in some police departments, would leave the race out. I was like, was it a white guy, an Asian guy, black guy, Latino guy? We kind of need to know. Or is it a girl? Like, what are we looking for here? But they were more concerned about perceptions about minorities who might have committed crimes than the criminals who actually committed crimes and catching them. That's stupid. I think most people of any race, I think if you went to most black neighborhoods and said, hey, this is our new policy, it'd be like, you're stupid. Please catch these people. We want to be safe too. You know, that's always white lefties. Always. I'm not saying you can't find a black or Latino activist that thinks like that too, but they're very small. It's overwhelmingly goofy ass white people that put stuff like that out there.
No common sense whatsoever. So if you really had a guy, who cares if he's black or Spanish or if he's white? If you're not going to say what he is, be like, oh, I wonder if that's the guy. Oh no, they would have said like, well, what he was or what he looked like, and like, oh, we would have been. Oh no, let's not catch him. Let's let him keep going. Like, guys, come on.
Let's not worry about if he stole a car or shot somebody. Let's worry about if he's the wrong color and it might make other people feel bad.
Holy crap. I swear to God, man, it's like the common sense has just been zapped out of so many people. Like, man, what the hell happened here? Like, no common sense whatsoever.
Overwhelmingly, I don't think most police departments got involved in that, but I remember at least some did for a time, and it was a thing. So, pretty silly.
So I got to mention this because I know you're probably going to be upset about it. But because we got to touch a little bit on wrestling here. Will Ospreay, one of my faves, he's injured. He's got 2 herniated discs. Have you heard about the latest on Will?
What's the latest? I know he's hurt, or needs to heal, rather.
So apparently no surgery, but he does have 2 herniated discs. He'll be out for a while. He says he'll be back for the next pay-per-view, which is August 24th, but no way, right? 2 herniated discs, that's not possible.
I don't see how he's back in time for that, but maybe he knows something we don't. Look, the style of wrestling that he does and Kenny Omega is something different than what we grew up with. To their credit, I think when Ric Flair saw Ospreay wrestle Sting's last match, he told Ospreay, he's like, buddy, you're as good as everybody said you were. Are you fantastic? I like when the veterans acknowledge the generation now, like how good they are. Coming from Flair, you can't get any higher praise. But that style, Kenny Omega is in his 40s, and he's even said, I don't know how many matches I have left in me. He might not be doing this at 48 or 49. I hope he is. But that style, maybe these guys are going to have to wrestle a little less and take more time to heal up. It sounds like that's what Ospreay is doing right now. I don't see him stopping doing that style. You know, Rey Mysterio wrestles different now than he did in his 20s. But he's still Rey Mysterio. I don't see Will Ospreay ever not being Will Ospreay. AJ Styles has said the same thing. He wrestles how he wrestles, and the day he can't do that anymore is when he'll no longer wrestle. I understand that.
To me, though, and it might be crazy, I would almost completely change my style. Like even Jericho hasn't really changed his style enough. I would do it like you just become like a brawler. You know, like Dusty later on is
Yeah,
like he's just brawling and making people bleed and funk the like if I'm some of those guys, I know that's not what we're used to, but just completely go the different direction. If you want to turn heel or whatever, just completely change your style, just to give yourself some more longevity so we can keep seeing it. Wrestle like Bruiser Brody. I know you're not that big, but I mean wrestle like that kind of style just to save your body.
I hear what you're saying, but don't you think once he's established himself as I'm Will Ospreay and this is what you're getting? Look, Will Ospreay from 10 years ago was doing more of the old mock as flip floppy kind of stuff,
Yeah.
whatever. But since then, he's developed into he can still do all that stuff and does, but he's also a good mat wrestler and he's a great promo.
Yep.
That's not something he necessarily had all of it. So he's a more well-rounded wrestler. So there's that. But at the same time, you've presented yourself in the way you have. I don't see him going back. His hero is AJ Styles. AJ Styles has said he's not going back. Bryan Danielson, I think, said in recent months he thought he'd wrestle a long time and be like the comedic wrestler whose pants get pulled down and he doesn't realize everybody can see his butt. In his mind, that's what he could do to prolong his career and his health. But he said, I don't think I can do that. I've got to be Bryan Danielson or not. So I understand that too.
Man, when you look at some of those guys, you just wish, not that you slow down or anything, but just wish to maybe not take as many neck bumps or to take but then you can't really take that away from them because that's what they want to do. So it's like a give and take. Like Benoit and Eddie years ago, I mean, they wrestled like fast paced, like crazy, and were taking
Totally.
crazy bumps too, and they never changed. You know what I mean? You kind of can't tell somebody to change if they don't want to.
Well, I just saw Mick Foley's one-man show in Charleston last week, and I've seen a number of his one-man shows, and he talked about his career, and I didn't ask him this question, even though there was a Q&A. I wish I had now with our conversation. I think they're having that one-man show in my hometown because of how he wrestled and what he did, the reputation he built. Hell in a Cell, 40 years, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, he has lots of health problems at his age now. Do you think he regrets doing all that stuff, or he just kind of accepts that's what I did to be where I'm at now and known as I am now? I don't know the answer to that. I'm not him. I can't speak for him, but it's a question. So I think that goes for any of these guys. Look at Darby Allin, who outright says, I know I'm not going to have a long career. Watch what I'm doing right now. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. I'm not a wrestler. I'm just a fan. I'm going to enjoy it for as long as I can and hope that those guys are okay just as a human being.
Yeah, that is true. With Foley, it's like he got put on the map. He's famous for that. Hell in a Cell and everything else. Did he need to do it? Maybe not, but he did, and look how famous he became from it. Look at the WWF from it and everything. So yeah, there's like a give and take there. That's like, man, you should save your body, but also that kind of launched you into a next level of superstardom that kind of is hard to be matched.
He still makes money based on his name today without stepping foot in a ring, and has for many years, and good for him. But if he was just a guy who didn't wrestle that way, I don't know if we would even be talking about him. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting to think of. And when you look at AEW right now, just going back to Ospreay, they could use him. They definitely could use him as far as where they're going and what they're doing right now.
For sure. I think AEW is on an upswing. And part of that is they're creative. And I've said this before on this program. Part of that is the thing they can't control, what the WWE is doing at any given moment. And I think with Cody and the Bloodline, that hurt AEW because that was so hot. And what WWE is doing right now is great. We're about to head into SummerSlam. When you see this, that will be over. Cena and Cody and a bunch of Punk and Gunther. Good God. But I think it's not quite as much there as it was with Cody trying to finish the story, and AEW is benefiting from that.
Yeah, it seems like SummerSlam kind of popped up quickly and just I don't know, it didn't have the same momentum maybe as last year. You would say, or you would think.
Yeah, especially them doing it 2 nights for the first time. So it's supposed to have that WrestleMania feel. It's going to be big. Look, it's going to be a good show. The card's incredible. But yeah, maybe they're trying to do too much, and I admire that. Last weekend, the timing will be off when people finally get to see this. Like there was SmackDown, there was Collision on Saturdays, cool, but there was no like TNA Slammiversary pay-per-view. There was no WWE or AEW event, no Ring of Honor event on Friday. I'm like, man, this sucks. I want there to be something. I'm accustomed to there being like 2 or 3 big shows each month between all the companies. So what a great time to be a fan. But maybe WWE, they're in Paris and doing this and doing that, and Saturday night's main event and a NXT show on the same day as AEW All In that didn't get watched because people were watching All In. You know, maybe sometimes you need to just chill out and make fewer things the most quality you can make them.
Very, very true. So let's wrap up this bad boy and head towards the plugs. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at 2Man Power Trip. How about you, Jack?
You can find me on X/Twitter/X. I think it's just X now at JackHunter74. And that's where you can find Instagram, Facebook, all the columns I wrote, wrestling and otherwise, but you can find all my stuff there.
All right. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, everybody out there, for listening. See you right back here next week for a little Capital and Kayfabe. Have a good one, folks.